let's get to the national championship last night. And I'm curious on the message board too. Was it disappointing not having an SEC team in there? Did it feel a little bit hollow from the get? I want to start with John because a lot of times John is staying up till 2 and 3 in the morning watching Pac-12 or Pac-1.5 football, whatever it is now, or Pac-nothing football. But John, I was curious to your thoughts on the matchup. I got to be honest with you, not seeing the SEC represented made it almost feel like, I don't know, one of those lower level boxing matches back in the day when they couldn't get, I mean, when they couldn't get like Tyson and somebody else lined up so he'd just fight some stiff out of a bar. I don't know. That's how it felt like to me. Am I wrong?
No, I felt the same way. It was just, it was a close game for a while, even though you kind of felt like Michigan was the superior team from the get-go, and it wouldn't end well for the Huskies. But yeah, that took a lot away from it for me. And it's part of that's because, I've been covering the SEC for a million years. The SEC had won 13 of the previous 17 national championships. It was almost kind of like, well, to win the national championship, you got to beat the SEC. And to Michigan's credit, it beat Alabama in the semifinals. But yeah, I felt like it was missing something. And also the way the game unfolded, I thought there were a lot of mistakes on both sides. And because I have watched a lot of Pac-12 football, Washington just didn't look like the Washington I saw during the regular season, the times I watched it. And part of that had to do with Michigan's defense, which is obviously outstanding. But Michael Penix was off from the get-go. Then he got bunged up, didn't handle things well. So, yeah, I just think, particularly in the South, and let's face it, the Southeast is where a lot of college football fans live. And I think there was that sense. And I guess the one other thing, I still think Georgia's the best team in the country. I mean, it doesn't get a do-over. It lost when it mattered to Alabama, but I still think it's the best team. I still think if it had made the playoff, it would have won the championship.
Yeah, and I thought that last night too, Caleb. I don't know about you, but I kept thinking if Georgia somehow stepped on the field, they'd probably still win. And I'm not sure that it would be close. I don't know. It just had a goofy feel from an SEC analyst perspective, I guess. I don't know if you felt the same way or not, Caleb.
I could have gotten it wasn't so much that there wasn't an SEC team in there, because guys, we're forgetting there was an SEC team in the national championship last year, and that was the worst national championship game I think anybody's ever watched. And I think the problem is it's just that for 2 years in a row, a team that was in over its head was in the national title game. And I said from the start, I actually said, and I don't know, John, if you were on when I said it, but I said the College Football Playoff Committee, and it's fine if they wanted to say they care about body of work, but they lied when they said they were picking the 4 best teams. These were not the best teams. If you were going to do the 4 best teams, you go Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, and that's it. And what we know is that the Michigan-Alabama game, I think we all knew that Rose Bowl game was the national title. We knew it a mile away, didn't we?
Well, no, because I thought Washington was capable of winning that game. It was an underdog, but I thought it was capable of winning that game. It beat Texas, and it has been extremely good in the clutch. In a lot of close games, it's prevailed. And I thought by beating Texas, it established itself as a genuine national championship contender. But again, I thought Texas was a really good team. I didn't think the best team won that game, but it won the game. I'm not going to argue with results, but it still gets back to Georgia. Georgia was a complete team. And we go back to the Alabama game. Remember when Georgia beat Alabama in the championship game a few years ago, and Alabama's top wide receiver got hurt, and it was already weak at wide receiver. And you can't make excuses in those games, but that kind of changed the way that game went. It took away Alabama's ability to stretch the field. I thought when Georgia played Alabama, everybody knows Brock Bowers wasn't near 100%. He just wasn't. And neither is Ladd McConkey, who was really hurt most of the season, played on and off. But George at full strength, Brock Bowers at full strength, I think it would have won that game. But can't make excuses. But again, it gets back to my point. You didn't feel like they were the best teams in there. And Georgia, to me, was the best team.
No, I agree. So I'll ask you today's tough question, and it's brought to you by Andy Mason of AndyMasonRealEstate.com. Boom, here we go. Today's tough question.
Today's tough question. Take a side. Take a stand. The Dave Hooker Show, a presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
So contribute in. You tell me, because I'm malleable here. I'm willing to work with you and find the best adjectives you would like to describe. But I'm going to start it with this, and it is Michigan would be a blank SEC team. So I'll ask you, would they be a perennial championship? How would you like to define it, John? And then we'll get it going on our YouTube page. People can take part, and we want to hear you on the message board as well. But Michigan would be a blank SEC team.
Are you referring to this past season or just in general?
In general, year to year.
It would be a championship contender. It would be, I think it would be top 5 in an expanded SEC. I think it could be a top 5 in an annual playoff contender.
Okay, so what do you say, Caleb?
In an expanded SEC, I think Michigan, year in and year out, is clear cut, no better than the 4th best program to coach it in the SEC, with Texas and Oklahoma there. I mean, I think you're talking 7th or 8th. But this year they'd be in the top tier with Alabama and Georgia. Those would be I don't know who would win it between Michigan, Alabama, and Georgia, but that would be the top tier in the SEC this year. And one of those teams would win it.
So here's how I'm going to set this up. Contender with Alabama or Georgia, 4th best year to year. And then after that, I will put below that. So we'll see what we get on the poll. You can go to the poll on the YouTube page and take part in that. We'd love to get your interaction. And let's take a look at the message board and see what the message board has to say, because I'm curious. I like this Michigan team from the get. So I'm going to say that they would have been, and they will be, if Jim Harbaugh stays, they would be a team that will compete with Alabama and Georgia for a championship. A lot of people saying Michigan was just better, but Jim Harbaugh is out the door. College football is the new fixed NFL. Daniel saying it's hard to tell what they would be because of the cumulative effect of the whole cheating scandal. What about the cheating scandal, John? And how does it affect Michigan, their championship? Because they were caught not once, but twice. And one was about the goofiest thing that you've ever heard, sending a coach on a sideline. You and I haven't even discussed it, I don't believe. But when it comes to just the gall of cheating, that's right up at the top.
Yeah. Back in my younger days, a couple of times on a bet, I got on the sideline of a college football game. Had no problem, walked right in, stayed there the whole game one time, just part another time. But no, that doesn't affect how I look at Michigan's championship. I think, that was kind of an extended effort to cheat, but I think it would have won the national championship anyway.
Caleb, what did you make of that?
I think it's more that I'm kind of leaning where you were. I'm going to go where you were leaning, Dave, which is the Michigan cheating scandal is the only scandal. The only thing that stands out to me is they were stupid enough to get caught in that way, because they were so reckless. Because y'all have to, Dave, you've told me Nick Saban cheats with the analyst. But guess what? He covers it up. He doesn't let the media come to practice when he's about to use all the analysts to work with the players on the field. But that's absolutely cheating. Okay, he's just smart with
it. I mean, coaches, but nowadays they'll have their 100 million analysts, and Nick Saban's the best, come out to practice after the the media has been told to leave because of stretching. That's why practices are closed across the nation. So I mean that's cheating, and everybody does that. But just the dressing up as another coach and all that goofiness was,
Bobby
I mean,
Valentine.
just John, in terms of stupidity cheating, that's past Pruitt.
I wouldn't go that far, but I would have gone that far if Jim Harbaugh had assigned his babysitter to go around other schools and get video. So yeah, I mean, it's like you're right. I mean, cheating is you can call it cheating, you can call it gamesmanship, but let's face it. Anytime the NCAA passes a rule that affects college football, the college coaches immediately begin to find ways. How do we get around that rule? And sometimes that involves breaking the rule, but whatever it takes. That's how competitive the business is.